Hi everyone, I hope you guys are doing good. So as a part of our Liquibase tutorial series, so far we have learned how to write change sets and deploy in an empty database and create objects in an empty database, right? Now in this lecture we will learn reverse. If you have an existing database, how to generate changelog from an existing database and then take those changelogs and prepare our Liquibase folders. So without wasting time, let's start. First I will go in Liquibase documentation. So in that if you go in command and in that if you go in database inspection, so you will find one generate changelog tab. So if you click on that, what is generate changelog? The generate changelog command creates a changelog file that has sequence of change sets which describe how to recreate the current state of database, right? So we have to prepare change set for the current state of database, that is called generate changelog, right? And there are you can prepare a folder like that, right? Suppose you have tables, foreign tables, views, right? So you can prepare separate XML files for that in a separate folder. So you can prepare the folder structure, right? And then you can generate change logs from your database, right? To generate change log, command is liquibase generate change log and then give the change log file name, okay, in which you want to generate the change log. That's a simple command, right? You can also use different types, diff types attribute, right? For if you want to generate for a specific type of objects, right? Like check constants or only tables, right? So you can give one more option that is called diff types equals to and then give the types of objects you want to generate changelog, right? Like foreign keys, functions, etc. all are there, right? If you do not mention any difference in the changelog, right, then by default these things will be generated, right? Columns, foreign key, index, primary key, tables, unique constant and views, right? So this much will be generated by default. But if you want to generate any specific, then mention that using different types attribute, right? So this is the command to generate changelog, right? And we have multiple attributes. In the command lines we have mentioned all the attributes, right? That what are the things you have to give while generating changelog, right? You can mention URL, author, changelog file name, right? Context name, default catalog name, default schema name, right? There are multiple options, right? Now let's check out practically. Okay, so this is the script which I have prepared, right, to demo you guys about how to generate changelog. Okay, so we are going to generate changelog from an employee database. So this is my PG admin tool. In that I have employee database, right? In the employee database, I have two schemas, app and public schema, right? And in public schema, I have some objects, right? Like I have tables, department, employee, employee detail, employee salary update, and these two are Liquibase history tables. Okay, so these are the tables I have, right? And I have other in tables I have indexes and constants also, right? So I have one primary key, foreign key constant, right? I have one index also, right? I have triggers also. Okay, so let's generate changelog for this employee database. Okay, so to generate changelog you have to open our Windows PowerShell. Okay, let me enlarge it little bit, right? So first you have to cd to the path where you want to generate the changelog. So suppose I want to generate changelog at this path, right? So first I will cd on this path, right? So let's cd on this path, right? So I am in document folder now, right? Now I can run the my generate changelog command, right? So generate changelog command is similar to the run liquibase command which we have. Only change is the changelog file name. I have given a new changelog file name, okay? And at the end I have given instead of update I have given generate changelog, right? Instead of update I have given command as generate changelog. Okay, let's see our generate changelog command. So this is my generate changelog command. Let me copy and let me just paste it here, then I'll explain you. So what are the things we have? Liquibase, right? Then changelog file name. So my generate file name changelog is name is generate1.changelog.xml. Username is postgres, password local. URL I have given employee database driver, right? That postgresql driver, path of driver, class path, right? That is the path of the driver, and then log level info, and then generate changelog, right? This will generate changelog for us for employee database, right? And we have not mentioned any schema here. Okay, so it will generate changelog for default schema, right? Also I have not mentioned any difference, right? This diff command I have not mentioned diff attribute, right? So diff attributes I have not mentioned, right? Then what will happen? The default diff types or default difference types will be generated, right? So what are the default different types? Columns, foreign key, indexes, primary key, tables, unique constant, and views, right? And our default schema is public, right? So I have not given the schema also, I have not given the different types also, right? So defaults will be used, right? Now let's hit enter. Okay, so let's see if our, yeah, so I think you can see generate changelog was executed successfully. Count 6, right? Let's go in that folder and let's check our generate changelog. Okay, so this one is our generate changelog. Let me open this. Okay, so this is our generate changelog which has table name as EMP, right? Employee salary update, second table. Then we have employee index, right? Index on employee table, right? And then we have department table and employee detail table, and then we have a foreign key constant on department table, right? So these are the things we have, right? And there is a primary key also on department ID, right? And there should be one primary key on employee ID, right? So constant primary key on employee ID, right? So these are the change logs. You can see all the change logs are generated automatically using my existing database, right? And I can use this in my Liquibase folder, right? And then for any new objects creation, I can add change log and then deploy that using Liquibase, right? So let's verify what are the objects we have. So it has generated only for public schema because I have not mentioned anything. So by default public schema is used, right? So you can see we have department, employee, employee detail, employee salary update. Four tables are there, right? For these two table, it is not generating any change log because it knows that these are Liquibase tables, right? And then we have employee and department. We have in constants, right? Primary key, department, employee has primary key and foreign key, right? And there is one index also, right? You can see there is a trigger also, but trigger do not get generated. Why? Because it is not coming in default, right? So defaults are this much only: columns, foreign key, index, primary key, tables, unique constant, and views. If you not mention any different types, right? And default schema is public, right? Now, let's see second use case where Liquibase generate changelog command on CLI with schema attribute, right? So suppose my employee database, right, it has two schemas, right? Public schema and app schema, right? So we have seen object in public schema. In app schema also we have tables called one employee detail, right? Right, and we have views also, department view and employee view, right? So suppose I want change log for both schema, public schema and app schema, right? In that case we can just modify our Liquibase command little bit. Okay, so this is my second Liquibase command where my file name is generate to changelog.xml. Okay, so let me just paste it here and then I'll explain you guys. Okay, so let me just copy it again from here, control C, and then paste it here. Okay, so what are the things we have? Changelog file is generated to changelog XML, username, password is there, URL is same, right? Driver is there, class path is there, which is same, log level info same. In schema I have mentioned schemas public comma app, right? So you can, there's one attribute called schemas, right, which you can use. And from where I have got this, so I have got this from this attribute. So you can, if you check all these attribute, so you will find one place schemas. Okay, so let me just find it out. So there should be one. See this one schemas, and specific database schemas you want to include, right? So you can use this option, right? So I have used that schemas public comma app, right? So I want changelog from both public and app, and include schema equals to true. So include schema equals to true, why I have mentioned, because I want to print the object's schema as well, right? That which object is belongs to which schema, right? So because if you see this generate one change log, so it is not printing the schema, right? It is not printing that this table is in which schema, right? So I want to print that schema. So for that I have mentioned include schema equals to true, and this also I have got from this list only. So if you'll find somewhere, it should be there, right? See, include schemas true or false. By default it is false, so you have to make it true, right? Include schema equals to true, and then generate changelog, right? Let's hit enter. So let's see, our changelog should be generated, right? So 9 changelog generated, right? We can check in this path, generate 2 changelog is generated, right? Let me open that. So you can see now schema name is coming, right? Create table, schema name is public and table name is department, right? So now you can see, if you see schema name, so public schema name objects are generated, right? All the tables are generated, right? And you can see app schema names using app schema objects are also getting generated, right? Like department view, view name department view, and employee view, right? These are from app schema, right? Then public schema emp object, right? Then app schema employee detail table, and there's a public schema also employee detail table are there, right? So same table is in both app and public. So you can see schema name app, schema name public, right? So you can see all the objects from app and public schemas are getting generated, right? But difference type I have not mentioned anything, right? Then by default these objects are getting generated, right? Now if you want to generate, let's go to next use case. Liquibase generate changelog command on CLI with a specific object, right? So if you want to generate with a specific object, so you have to mention the difference types equals to something, right? So let me just run this. So this is my generate change 3 changelog.xml, right? These are the things you can generate by default, right? If difference type, so you can mention whatever you want to generate, right? So let me just paste it here. Let me just copy and then let me just paste it here. So this is my generate 3 changelog.xml, right? Rest everything is same, username postgresql, right? Driver is there, everything is same. So generate changelog, then schema I have mentioned public. In public schema I want difference type as only primary keys I want to print, right? So our department table has one primary key and employee table has one primary key, right? So that's how we can mention different types equals to, and then whatever differences we'll put, right? If there are multiple differences, so we have to just put like comma separated, right? Without a space, right? Like foreign key, comma, functions, comma, indexes, comma, primary key, right? And we can mention all those four here, comma separated, right? And we can generate multiple objects, whatever objects we want to generate, right? So let's hit enter. So our generate 3 change log is generated and count is 3, count is 2, right? So this is our generate 3 change log. Let's check the objects. So you can see our generated, this is the author name which is generated, right? And there is the ID also which is generated, right? And then you can see department ID, right? Primary key department and primary key employee. So both primary keys are getting generated, right? So we can generate a specific objects, right, using generate difference types. If we mention different types, right? Now if you'll ask, we have to generate functions, right, triggers and procedures, stored procedures and all. So for that we have to read one thing. Okay, so here you can see different types is given, description of different types, right? Specific specifies the type of objects to compare, right? So these are the valid objects which you can generate, right? If you do not mention anything, then these are the default difference types which will be generated, default objects, right? But we have to check this note: the difference type, check constant, database package, body, functions, stored procedure, and triggers are require a valid Liquibase Pro license key, right? So you should have a license version, then only you will be able to generate this object, right? Stored procedure functions, triggers, packages, right? Check constants. These objects will be generated only in Liquibase licensed key, right? So if you have a licensed version, so in the URL you can also give this thing dash dash license and then your license key in your command, right? And then you will be able to generate all the restricted objects as well, right? Which are licensed, right? These objects as well, right? So you can check no different options while firing this generate change log, right? So all the options are mentioned here, right? So if you have to mention default schema, by default it's public, right? So you can also change default schema dash name equals to app or some other schema, right? You want to include. So I hope you guys understood how to generate the change logs, right? How to generate the change logs, right? And after generating the change log, you can prepare all your Liquibase folder, right? And you can use these change logs, right? And then when you have to create any new object, then you can write your new change logs and then deploy in your existing database, right? So this is my Liquibase folder, right? So after generating all the change logs, so what I'll do, I have prepared already my this folder structure, and then I'll prepare releases, and I can prepare in the one in initial release I can put all the generated change log, right? And for all new objects I'll create new folder, right? And put all the new objects and then deploy this Liquibase, right, on the existing database as well, right? And the run command will be same, right? Liquibase and then change log your master XML, right? And then everything else you have to give, right? And then log level info and then update, right? So using update, Liquibase update, you can run, right? So I hope you guys like this lecture. If you guys like this lecture, please subscribe my channel. Thank you guys.